Good day, everyone. My name is Tori Giffen. I am the Assistant Director of Online Programs. I want to thank you all for joining us today for our information session on trauma-informed practice and pedagogy. Really hoping to answer a lot of questions for teachers and classroom educators who we were hoping would be able to join us today. If you're in another field, that is all right. We will have more information sessions for this program. We might even have time to be able to answer some of your questions as well. But if you are a teacher, the session is just specifically for you. I have a quick poll just to get us some input on who we have here with us today. While we are getting started, just wanted to remind everyone that the session is recorded. It will get emailed out to everybody about 12 hours afterwards. When we get to the question and answer portion, feel free to raise your hand using the Zoom function or come on camera, and you can unmute yourself and ask your question. You can also ask your question in the chat anytime throughout the presentation. And if you want to remain anonymous with your question, you can send me a private message, and I'm happy to read your question for you, and I won't mention your name. With that said, let's get started. We would love to know what your interest is in trauma-informed education, why you're interested in this master's degree. If you'd let us know, please feel free to type your answers in the chat to this question. What you'll learn in this session is eligibility, structure, admissions, and career paths. You have our email address right there, onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu. If you think of anything, or if you're watching this recording back and you're not able to ask us a question live, you can email us directly. We will be happy to answer your question for you. With that, want to just briefly introduce some of the online program staff that you might be interacting with. We have some of us here today, some of us just in the chat. We have Gina Poff, who is our online academic and student services coordinator. Myself, we have Brianna Davis, online student advisor for online programs, and we have Sangeetha Kapala-Christian, the assistant dean for online learning and innovation in online programs. We also have some people from the program. We have Lynn here with us this evening, and I will let her introduce herself in a little bit. But if you see any of us answering your questions in the chat, we're from the University of Illinois here at Champaign-Urbana, and you can trust our answers. Also, as you're going throughout the program, many of us will be interacting with you and will be there to support you in your success throughout the program. With that, I am going to turn things over to Lynn to share a bit about herself and a bit about the program directly.
Thanks, Tori. Can you hear me?
Tori, sure can.
Great, thank you. Welcome, everybody. So glad to see you. We're going to talk to you today about the Master of Education with a concentration in trauma-informed practice and pedagogy. Tori, are you in control? Are you?
Yep.
Moving slides?
Yes.
Great. The goal of I'm going to refer to it as the TIP program, which is actually a concentration on the curriculum and instruction masters of education. And the program goal is to prepare professionals to understand trauma and also create trauma-informed environments for all individuals, but particularly for those who've experienced trauma. We want to have professionals in the field who are working to both eliminate the causes of trauma that we can influence and mitigate the impacts of those that we can't control. We're all good, Tori. My name is Dr. Lynn Burdick, and I am the Director of Trauma-Informed Education in the College of Education at UIUC. The other members of our team on the TIP program are Dr. Catherine Kaur, who is an Associate Professor in the Department of Special Education, and Dr. Mia Chudzik, who is a postdoc fellow in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction and Special Education, and she is the instructor of the trauma courses this year. I want to give you a bit of a feel for the structure of the program. We have 2 years or 5 semesters, so fall through the following spring with one summer involved. The courses are 8 weeks long, with the exception of one course in the second spring, which is 16 weeks long. Part of term A and part of term B. There one course in each of those terms, and then that one 16-week course would be both spring A and B. And all of the classes are taught synchronously with a human being facilitating, currently Dr. Chudsik. And those sessions are synchronous, and they're usually on weekday evenings for about 3 hours. There are also asynchronous assignments that occur along with the synchronous meetings or in addition to the synchronous meetings. We really want to emphasize the importance of actual attendance in the courses. That's the way that we're getting our best learning outcomes for our students.
So I think that these slides are mine, if I'm not mistaken, Tori, is that right?
That is correct.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lynn. My name is Brianna Davis. I'm the online student advisor at the College of Education. I work with our online graduate students. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Ed.M program, the requirements, what you can kind of expect from a curriculum standpoint. So this program requires the completion of a minimum of 32 credit hours of coursework. Generally speaking, it's about 8 to 9 courses. It's made up of foundations courses, a core course, trauma courses, and elective courses. So for your reference, as a master's student at the College of Education, you will be required to complete one educational psychology foundations course, one foundations course in the area of education policy, organization, and leadership. As a student in our trauma-informed practice and pedagogy program, as Lynn mentioned, is a part of our curriculum and instruction department, there is one required curriculum and instruction core course that you will take. And then we've got 3 required trauma courses that focus specifically on trauma-informed education, as well as 3 elective courses that have been strategically selected by the department as it pertains to working in education settings with populations who have experienced trauma. So that's just a little bit about how the program is built from a curriculum standpoint. If you choose to pursue this program, you will work closely with Lynn and myself to develop a plan that will work well for you based upon your needs and your schedule. So you'll have close advisement as you make your way through the program. Additional requirements per the graduate college state that you must complete 12 hours of 500 level coursework in education. So that is directly built into that curriculum that we looked at on the previous slide. So rest assured that Lynn and I will make sure that you check that box. And then per the graduate college, there is a master's degree time limit that states that you must complete your master's degree within a 5-year time frame. Now, most of our students are not seeking a 5-year plan. If you are wanting to spread your coursework out, we can certainly talk to you about what that would look like. But for most students, this program will be a 2-year program, which can be fit into about 6 semesters. So that would include fall, spring, and summer semesters. So we often get questions about what the timeline is for this program, and you can expect about 24 months from start to finish. We also often get questions about potential career paths for people who pursue this program, whether you are wanting to kind of propel your current position, your current career, or if you want to pivot into maybe a different sector of what you're currently doing. This program prepares students for a wide range of careers and working with populations that have been affected by trauma, including being a trauma-informed educator. We have a lot of educators who work in K-12 who are wanting to enhance their ability to work with populations who have been affected by trauma, as well as school social social workers, educational components, child advocates, nonprofit organization directors. It really pertains to a wide range of populations, but it is built with the educational framework as its driving force, since this is a program that's offered through the College of Education. We do also have a lot of different trauma-informed education options. We've got 4 different options that are shown in the graphic here. These are all stackable, which means that if you choose to kind of start on the far left side of this and you want to build on your program from there, you certainly can. To begin, we offer an online massive open course, which we refer to as a MOOC, and it is approximately 8 hours. It's a way for you to kind of dip your toe into the field of trauma-informed education and practices. There's no cost associated with taking the MOOC, so if you're just kind of wanting to explore this area to begin before you dive into a master's program, it's a great place to begin. It can also stack into our micro-credential, which is applicable largely to our professional educators and those who hold a professional educator license in the state of Illinois. So if you are seeking a micro-credential that can be attached to your license, the micro-credential is a great option as well. We also offer our trauma-informed education graduate certificate program. It does require a bachelor's degree in order to pursue these graduate level courses, but if you're not really ready to dive into a master's program, that's another great place to begin. And then, as we've been discussing for the duration of this presentation, we have our master's degree through the curriculum and instruction department with a concentration in trauma-informed practice and pedagogy. So if you are curious about any or all of these options and what they might look like for you, and you would like to set up a time to speak individually about these options, please feel free to reach out to us. I would be happy to have a conversation with you about what these options look like and how they might fit in well for what you're looking for. And then lastly, admissions are going to be handled through our graduate college application. So if you are ready to dive right into our Master of Education program, you will need to begin by submitting a graduate college application. After you submit your completed application, it will be reviewed by our curriculum and instruction department at the College of Education. They will make a recommendation for your admission status, and if recommended for admission, it will then process through the graduate college at the university. You can apply online at choose.illinois.edu/apply, and if you have questions about that process, I'm also happy to assist you with that.
Then I believe that I'm up with some information for everybody. So we have application information, upcoming deadlines. Just want to let people know about the December 1st deadline for Spring A. You can apply online, as Brianna said. One question do want to let folks know about when you're going to apply. This program is in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, and so you will need to check that department in your program application. So just wanted to shout that out as a reminder for folks. If you have other questions about the program, or if you would even like to ask our chatbot Eddie questions anytime, you can go to go.illinois.edu/TIE-DM. And you can check out more program information. There's also information on all the other programs that Brianna was talking about on that page, including the MOOC and micro-credential and certificate. So just want to let folks know that that's available for you who are here in the chat, and those of you who might be watching us back later. Also wanted to, it was on one of the earlier slides, but did want to specifically call out tuition and student financial aid. Cost of the program is $520 per credit hour currently. There are no fees for online students, so that is a question that sometimes folks ask is, well, what are the fees for the program? Thankfully, for online programs, there are no fees. Tuition is subject to change. Be sure to check our website for information about tuition information, or you can email us and we can let you know what that is. But it is not changing right now. As of November 14th, 2024. It will be the same for spring 2025. So just want to let folks know about that. Student status to be full-time for financial aid purposes is 6 credit hours per semester, which just wanted to also call out is taking 2 classes in a term. For most of the time, there are a couple classes that aren't exactly 4 credit hours, but most of our classes are 4 credit hours in our master's programs. So if you take 2 classes, that would be 8 credit hours, which gets you to that full-time status for financial aid. For other purposes not related to financial aid, it is 12 credit hours per semester. So I just want to let people know about that. If you have financial aid questions, we encourage you to reach out to our financial aid office directly, either at finaid@illinois.edu, or you can call them at 217-333-0100. Because everybody's financial aid questions are unique to themselves and people have individual situations. For financial aid, we encourage you to reach out to our financial aid office so they can give you accurate information when it comes to financial aid. Also, did just want to let everyone know that there is some scholarships that are available. So I wanted to just call out this one here, that the College of Education has some limited scholarship funding for trauma-informed practice and pedagogy, education master's degree students. We are able to award $1,000 to the first 30 students who are admitted to the program and are enrolled for both semesters in their first year of the program. So want to let folks know about that opportunity that is available to them. And then also do want to just shout out that all online master's students through their application are considered for a $500 scholarship currently as an online student that is awarded on a needs basis to folks. As long as funds are available. So there are 2 specific scholarships for this program. Just wanted to make sure to shout that out and let people know about it. So if you have questions about that, feel free to ask us either email or in the chat. And with that, getting ready for question time, but want to just shout out why you might choose education at Illinois. We are a top tier research university. We are currently ranked number 7 by US News and World Report. We think we're pretty affordable when we take a look at all of our peers that we compare ourselves to. We have excellent world-class faculty. We also focus on online student engagement, and you get to interact with some great peers because we attract great students from all sorts of backgrounds from all over the world. So we think that you should join us here at the University of Illinois, and we really appreciate seeing you here. Would love to see you in the classroom, would love to see you in sessions, would love to see your application. We also have lots of resources for online students. Also want to shout out that our online students do get full access to our library here at the University of Illinois, and you can check out books remotely through our library. That is not something that is always available to everyone in online programs. So just wanted to shout that out. If you're interested in reading a little bit more about our current ranking, there is a link here. We will have a new ranking shortly after the beginning of the year. But right now we are still ranked number 7 and we are excited about that. With that, takes us to the next portion here. Just want to remind you all to go ahead and apply now. Applications are open for spring. Even if you're thinking about starting later, you can go ahead and start your application process, and you can select a more future term in which you hope to start your program. But we are now into the question portion of the chat. So really excited to see that we have lots of teachers and classroom professionals with us today. Feel free to either unmute yourself to ask questions, or you can email us, or you can type those questions in the chat. And like I said earlier, you can also private message me directly. I'm happy to answer those questions. I know Brianna, if you private message her too, we're happy to read those out or at least speak them out to folks who might be watching this back later so that they know what the question was and then get that answered for you. So if you have any questions, now is your chance.
Yes, I have a question. My name is Michelle Ryan, and question I have is that I just completed a MS in curriculum development and instructional technology from another school in New York from University of Albany, SUNY. So I'm trying to find work and finding it very difficult to do so. I think there are other reasons involved, but what would you recommend as maybe a next step? um, in terms of education to be able to find work as a curriculum developer or, um, in the field of teaching, what would you recommend that might be a program that might be suitable for someone like myself? Um, that's my question.
Thank you for that question. Lynn, do you have any thoughts?
Michelle, do you mean in terms of continued learning or places that you might go to find available positions?
Well, both actually, because, I do enjoy learning. You know, I do enjoy that. It's not my first master's program. So, but just in terms of next steps or programs that you might have available, that may be a good match for someone that has already completed, the master's part.
Thanks for that clarification. This program, as you can tell, is a master's degree, and you said you've done that. If you're looking for continued learning in the area of trauma, Brianna talked about those programs that could be cost-free. The MOOC, Massive Open Online Course, could give you some additional learning about trauma. Which is really what we're focusing on here. So I'm afraid I didn't come prepared to talk about other lines, other areas. I'm not familiar with programs that we have that would specifically lead to curriculum development. And so I don't have a good source for where positions might be listed. Brianna Torrey, the higher ed program, might we be able to refer Michelle to somebody in higher ed or I'm trying to think, probably not higher ed in the
Yeah, so what I'm thinking, Michelle, if you could, happy to help you out and answer, some follow-up questions and things like that. We might have some more follow-up questions to ask you. If you could email us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu, be happy to, get some more information on your background. We can take a look at all of our programs that we then have available and could make some recommendations on some that we think would be worth you taking a look at.
And those programs may also provide their students with resources for where they would find positions. And again, that's just not my base of knowledge, but we have people that can help us get some of that information for you.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Tori, could I clarify one other thing as people are thinking of other questions that they might want to ask? We talked about the career paths that this leads into. As we were saying to Michelle, this program is built for career advancement in terms of, especially for you teachers, moving up in your scale, in your pay scale, additional learning, another degree. This is not a licensure program, however. It's not providing any kind of additional qualification on your Pell. It's going to give you a master's degree that is indicative of additional learning in trauma-informed education and additional education, but it's not leading to licensure. Does that make sense? Tori, Brianna, am I babbling?
No,
No, that
you,
makes complete
that,
sense to me.
that's great. Thank you, Lynn, so
Yeah.
much for noting that. And you know, being an online program and dealing with students that are learning remotely, we have students from all over the globe who are pursuing our programs. And so sometimes we do get questions about how this program can lead to licensure or how it can aid somebody who wants to earn a license. And that really is going to be unique based upon your location, as different states have different standards and things like that. So if you do have questions about something like that, I'm happy to try to connect you with an office who might be able to point you in the right direction of contacting your state board of education. But as Lynn mentioned, this is not designed to be a licensure program. So it's a great opportunity to learn new skills or enhance skills that you currently have. But in terms of using these courses to aid you in earning a particular license, we can try to find the resources that may be able to answer those questions, but it will be very contingent based upon your location. So thank you, Lynn, for mentioning that.
Thanks for the
Yeah.
clarification.
And while that was going on, it did get one question here. So one question I got is, what aspects would you be looking for in an application for somebody who's interested in this program? What kind of background would position somebody well to be, admitted into this program, or skills, or is there things that you would recommend folks to highlight in their letter that they attach with their application?
Tori, I guess I would say that I would be looking for someone who has a specific interest in trauma, the impact of trauma on children. Someone who, this is a program that's designed pretty much for working professionals typically. So an indicator that you have skills that would allow you to navigate a master's program at the same time that you're working. We'd love to see leadership in your, although it's not required, but the idea of your being able to get this information and spread it around, we feel like it's our mission, not only ours, but our students. We ask that this word be spread. So leadership and willingness to help other people gain this knowledge and help kids who are impacted by trauma. Those might be some of the things that I might see in a cover letter that would strike me. And that's my personal opinion. Tori, Brianna, do you have more things in terms of admission to the graduate college?
Yeah, so I put in the chat what application materials will be required as a part of that graduate college application. The application is required. They will, as a part of as a part of that application process, require either a resume or a CV. We don't have any particular format in which that needs to be composed. So you are welcome to submit your current resume in whatever format you have it written in. A personal statement, which is a great place to indicate, as Lynn was mentioning, your interest in trauma-informed education, your interest in working with individuals who have been unfortunately impacted by trauma, why you're interested in this program, how you believe it might help you in your future pursuits, how you think this program affects your current work capacity, lots of different options there. But I would really encourage students to write a personal statement that specifically targets trauma-informed education and your interest in that area. Included with that personal statement is an academic statement of purpose, which is another place where you could indicate interest in the coursework specifically that's built into this program, and your interest in studying trauma-informed education. 3 letters of recommendation, which should come from professional references that can attest to your capacity for graduate level coursework. Transcripts, unofficial transcripts are fine for your initial application. If you are admitted later on, you will need to submit official transcripts before you can register for your second semester of study. We will not let you forget that. So if you are admitted, I promise we will send you lots of reminders if we need official transcripts, but unofficial transcripts are fine for the application. And then there is an application fee as well that's associated. I believe it is $70 for that application. So that's what's going to be required for admission to the program. If you are an international student, you may be required to submit English language proficiency scores. So if you have questions about that, please let us know. We're happy to help with that. And we do not require entrance exams in order to be admitted to this program. We really value at the College of Education conducting a holistic review of applications. So we take all of these pieces of the application into consideration. But as Lynn mentioned, you know, the big thing that we're looking for is your unique interest in the content that's going to be covered in this program.
Then we got another question when it's related to the application. Say somebody doesn't have all 3 of their letters of recommendation yet. Should they wait before they apply, or can those get added to after they have applied or submitted their application?
So we will consider whatever materials we've received at the time that you submit your application. If you're currently in the process of completing the application, just so everybody's aware, you'll come to a screen where it asks you for information for your recommenders, specifically a name and an email address. Once you input that email address, the graduate college will contact your recommender directly with a link where they can upload their letter. I do recommend that you go ahead and move forward with the rest of the application process, and then the graduate college can always send reminders to your recommenders if we haven't received those letters. If after the deadline has passed, we have not received those letters, we can either consider your application without all 3 letters. But usually what happens is we'll hold on to your application until another start date. So that way you can have a little bit more time to get all 3 letters recommendation, as they are considered to be a required component of the application. So if you don't have them right this second, as Tori mentioned, the deadline for spring admission consideration is December 1st. So I would still encourage you to move forward with that application. And then, like I said, we can, through the graduate college and through that application, we can provide reminders to your recommenders to submit those letters. So I hope that provides a little bit of clarification. I know different institutions handle letters in different ways. That's just how we handle letters of recommendation at the University of Illinois. But if you need additional clarification, please let us know.
Thanks for that added context, Brianna.
Yeah.
Any other questions that folks have? Feel free to unmute yourself or type that question in the chat or send it to one of us directly, and we'll be happy to answer that on your behalf. If you are watching the recording back, or even those of you who are here with us, if you think of something later, again, you can email us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu. And we will be happy to answer that for you. Or if you have a more specific situation, we're happy to dive deeper into that for you as well. While we just have a little bit of a lull, we still have plenty of time for questions. But I just want to make sure that folks have an opportunity to give us feedback. So I just launched that poll now.
I also, while people are doing this poll, want to just send my personal thanks to all of you for being here, and for those of you who are listening afterwards. Mia and Dr. Kaur and I are just passionate about this topic. We think it's absolutely critical in the world today, and would love to have you aboard. And if you have any questions about the program, just in terms of what the courses look like, and if we can get you to ask questions that will bring you to us, I would love to answer them for you. We feel really good about having this program available in Illinois, and would love to have you aboard, and with anyone else you want to bring with you.
Hi. I was wondering if classes are taken like in a specific sequence or if we just take what is being offered depending on the semester we start.
So is it Lisa?
Yes.
Thanks, Lisa. We have actually, it's a little bit different from some of the online programs. It's to some extent scripted in that courses are prerequisites for others for the specific trauma courses. The rest of the courses don't have to be done in a specific order. And so we have a path forward for whenever you start. So those people who start in the fall, their course sequence will look different from those who start, say, in the spring or summer. But you will always take 455 before you take 426. And at some point, you'll take 525 after you've taken 455. So there's a scripted order for the trauma-specific courses, not so much for the other courses in the program. And the order, Brianna is brilliant about setting out a path for everyone based on when they're coming in and the term that you're interested in working in. So if you want to be done in those 24 months, we can do one path, and if you want to spread it out, there's another. But in terms of sequence, the trauma courses are sequenced. It won't add any time, however. We've managed to create paths that will get you through in those 24 months, regardless of when you start.
Thank you. And that made me think, in the summers, is it possible, or at any point, is it possible to take more than one class at a time, or is it not set up like that?
Brianna, you take this one. You're
Okay,
smart.
sounds good. It may be possible. We understand that we have a lot of educators who pursue our programs. And so for a lot of our students, they say, oh, hey, I've got, summers off. I'd like to take more courses. So if that's your circumstance, please let us know. As Lynn mentioned, we do build a plan for students based upon their start date, but sometimes that plan needs to mold a little bit. Maybe students need to mold their plan a little bit because they need to meet credit hour requirements for financial aid reasons. Sometimes they have particular interest in taking a particular elective course. So if you are admitted to the program and you want to explore the idea of taking more than one class at a time, we can certainly discuss that further with you and see what that would look like. If you are working full time during the program, I will say that it is typically not advisable to take more than one class per 8-week term because of the amount of time that you will spend on that one particular course. But again, if you have a unique circumstance, if you're an educator and you've got extra time during the summer or something like that, and you're hoping to expedite the timeline, Lynn and I are happy to take a look at how we can maybe do that. Definitely for your first semester, we would not recommend taking more than one course during an 8-week term, largely because it will be your first experience in our courses on our 8-week schedule. So definitely not in the first semester, but if you wanted to explore that option for future semesters afterwards, we are definitely willing to engage in a conversation about what your options might look like.
Yeah, and we got one question in the chat here. Do you find that teachers who take this program work in specific contexts? For example, urban school districts, rural school districts. Also, do these classes mesh with courses in psychology or school psychology?
Tell me the first part first again.
Yeah,
Tori, I'm
no
sorry.
problem. It was a long question, and I'm happy to ask the second part after again. So they were asking about teachers that are taking the program. Do they work mostly in urban school districts or rural school districts, or is there a mix?
Thanks. I would say we don't have a pattern for that among our participants. We are finding this issue is everywhere. And so there aren't teachers who are in school districts that are really saying, I don't need this. We're just finding these impacts. I mean, if you think about the fact that these concepts apply even to our unbelievably high achievers who are worried about their ACT and their SAT scores and their AP scores, those kids are experiencing much of the impact on their brains that the kids that have more traumas that we would more think of when you say trauma-informed education. So this is all over the board. Also has to do with the health of teachers. And so we're not seeing a pattern of a location where it's more relevant than another location. And so that's mirrored in our participants. We're not seeing a pattern in their contexts. In terms of interfacing with psychology, do you mean in terms of a degree, would our courses count, or do you mean does it apply for someone who is in a psychologist type position?
I guess, I mean, does it apply, you know?
And my answer would be, I believe it does. I absolutely believe it does. Psychologists are going to be dealing with children likely in more of a one-on-one situation, but understanding what's happening, what the impacts of trauma are, what the incidence of trauma is, what we can do to both proactively and reactively respond to kids who've experienced trauma in learning environments, I think is going to be relevant for every professional that works with kids in schools. And with school psychologists on the same page as teachers, as the lunch folks, as the bus drivers, as the administrators, as the paras, everybody on the same page is what creates a really strong trauma-informed program. So my statement would be anyone who interfaces with children and particularly those that are working in school settings is what would work together with this content. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
That
Thanks for the questions, everyone. We still have a bit more time. Anybody have any other questions? Oh, I got a question here. Lynn, would you be able to refresh our audience since Dr. Judzik teaches in the program? They had asked what her research was in, if that could
you bet.
talk on that a bit.
Her PhD is in special education. Her research focus is in trauma-informed education, primarily in an early childhood setting. She served as an early childhood teacher. I believe she was an early interventionist. I'm not positive about that. But her dissertation was on trauma-informed education in early childhood settings.
Thank you.
She also has the longest list of publications I've ever seen in my life for someone coming out of a doctoral program. Again, she's a postdoc currently. She's a pretty amazing individual.
Any other questions from folks? Before we wrap things up, did just want to remind everyone, so we had somebody who just joined us that this session has been recorded, so you may have missed most of the actual presentation, but if you have questions on the Trauma-Informed Master's program here from the University of Illinois, we still have time, we can still answer those questions, but This has been recorded and it will get emailed out to everyone about 12 hours after the session concludes. If for some reason you do not get that email tomorrow morning, you can email us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu and we can send you the link directly to that. But we still have a bit of time if you have any questions on the trauma-informed master's program. And thank you for posting the link to the plan of study there in the chat, Brianna. While folks are thinking, and before I ask Lynn if she has anything else that she wants to add, did just want to remind folks that the program does have some scholarships that are available to it. So we talked about the $1,000 scholarship that is available to first number of students getting into the program if they enroll for the first 2 semesters in their first year. And then online students are also available for another separate $500 scholarship consideration that is awarded based on need. So just wanted to remind folks about those opportunities. They're pretty great. We think they're pretty great and want people to take advantage of those scholarship dollars. Any other questions? Lynn, is there anything else you would like to add before we conclude?
I don't think so. Again, my thanks for spending the time with us. I also want to shout out for Tori and for Brianna. This is an incredibly responsive group of people in the online program. It's just, you'll get all the support you need. One of the 3 of us will have the answer to anything you need. I'm sure of it. And we're just very happy to answer the questions. So if you're on the fence, I can talk you into all the reasons why this is wonderful. So I'm happy to do it. And these folks will support you so well through this program. We just really feel very strongly about the importance of this information in our current education climate.
Thanks, Lynn. And thanks everybody who has joined us this evening here in Illinois, maybe a different time wherever you are located. And thanks to all of you who are watching this recording back, no matter the time of day that it is or where you're located. Again, if you have any questions, think of anything afterwards, feel free to email us at onlineprograms@education.illinois.edu and we will get those answered for you. We'd love to see your application. Applications to start in the spring, courses start in January, but applications are due December 1st. So please go ahead and get those submitted. If you have questions about your application, you can go ahead and reach out to us and we can answer those questions as well. With that said, we hope that you have a great rest of your day, no matter where you are, no matter the time. And we thank you again for joining us to learn about the Trauma-Informed Practices and Pedagogy Ed.M program. Have a great day, everyone.